Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the masterclass today. I think I know a lot of people on this masterclass. I'm so happy to see everyone that could make it tonight. We have a super fun look planned for today. Let me introduce myself, even though I feel like I know everyone. I am Sarah. Um, am a virtual instructor at Blushington. I've been with Blushington since 2018. I started as an artist in the salon in West Hollywood. And then I became the esthetician trainer in West Hollywood. So that just means that I was showing all the new employees in West Hollywood how to do the skincare services that we offer. So I've been teaching the virtual classes since last April of 2020. So like for a while now. They're super fun, and we have a super fun look planned for tonight, the glossy and gorgeous look. So if you have your makeup, you can follow along with me. If you have any questions, put them in the chat and we'll answer after we get done with the makeup application. I'm starting with just like moisturizer. I don't have any makeup on because I wanted you guys to see me prep for this look. So we'll get started. I'm working on the back of a metal palette, so you can work on the back of your hand or on a small saucer or plate, just some surface that you have, and make sure that you start with clean hands. I'm at home, so I washed my hands before we started. If you have Purell, go ahead and use that, but just make sure that we're starting with clean hands. Okay, so the first step for this look would be after skincare. First of all, let me talk briefly about the Beautyrx Progressive Peel because for a glossy and gorgeous look, especially, you want your skin to have as little texture as possible so that we can get a whole bunch of reflection, like a whole bunch of light reflection off of the surface of the skin. So I started off with the Beautyrx Progressive Peel, and I actually used the serum, the drops that come in the peel this morning, like before after I did my skincare routine, before moisturizing, that's what I have on. I would wear the drops at night. Like if I'm not gonna go out, if I'm not gonna be in the sun, you can put the drops on before makeup, no problem. It says use it before bed, but you could totally wear it just as long as you're not gonna be exposed directly to the sunlight. So prep your skin for glowy skin, a little bit of the Beautyrx Nourishing Moisture Cream, and then we're gonna use the Embryolisse Primer, Lake Cream Concentra. I'm sure everyone on the call knows about the Embryolisse, but it's like just a primer that you can really control the complexion that you get. It's not really a mattifying primer, but it's not going to give a whole bunch of shine. You can just control the kind of coverage you get. So I'm using a little bit of that on my palette. And then I'm going to apply all over the surface of the skin with a flat foundation brush. So this is the first step for your glossy and gorgeous makeup application. And I like to do this step with the cosmetic wedges a lot of times. Like on my clients, I use cosmetic wedges, but you can use your hands. You can use the foundation brush, flat synthetic brush, cosmetic wedges. You can even use your beauty blender, just get it on there. Okay, and I wanna make sure I cover it evenly all over. I'm not worried about my eyelids. I don't want them to be have too much product on them. Okay, so once you get your Embryolisse nice and blended and you can't see it on the skin anymore, you see how it's already giving like a nice kind of glow? And then we'll start with our Herborian Glow Cream. So each step is gonna help us pump up that glossy effect that we're after. Okay, so just like a pearl-sized amount of the glow cream, just a very little bit. And I'm also going to use a flat foundation brush for this step. And for the glow cream, I also want it to cover the entire complexion, but I'm just gonna deposit the product on the high points of the face. So on the cheekbones, on the forehead, on the nose, on the chin, and then I'll blend out from all of those areas. And I love the glow cream because it has like this kind of iridescence. It's not like a really shimmery, like the shimmering skin perfector. It's a little bit more subtle, and I wanted to add a little bit more. It's a little bit more subtle than the shimmering skin perfector, and it has like a kind of lavender hue. It's just very pretty. You can wear it by itself. It kind of diffuses the light on the surface of the skin, so it helps to blur imperfections and just even out the skin tone. Even though there's not any coverage, it helps to even out the skin tone. And if you notice, I'm kind of avoiding my under eye in all of these steps because we're gonna address our under eyes completely separately. So I'm not really focusing on the under eye area. Blend all the way up into the hairline. And now we can start with our coverage. So I'm using the Becca 24-Hour Ultimate in the shade Sepia, and it's a little cool for me, a little cool, maybe a little light. So I'm mixing it with the Amber Concealer. So I'm gonna just put like, I have trouble with the pump, so I'm gonna put one stripe of the Becca onto my palette, just about that much. And then I'm gonna put two rolls of the Amber Concealer, the Jouer Amber Concealer. This one here. See, it's a little more red compared to the Sepia. So I'm gonna put 2 rolls of this onto my palette and then mix them together on the palette and then apply to my skin. So these are the 2 shades just deposited on the palette. Now I'm gonna mix them together so I can get something that's really natural and close to skin tone. And then start my application. Okay, and I always say deposit the product where you need the most coverage. I'm going to deposit around the chin because I need a lot of coverage around the chin. And then I blend up over the mouth, up, across the jawline, cover the chin. See how it's a little bit light, a little bit too yellow, but I have notoriously hard to match. So I always use 2 tools to blend. Like you see, I'm depositing the product with the flat foundation brush. And then I use this brush. It's number 959 in the Beautyrx kit, or you can use your beauty blender just to make sure that it's really well blended. Okay, and typically this is like a matte foundation, but because we primed so well beforehand, you can still see lots of sheen in the complexion. So that's what we want. Okay, and then deposit a little bit more to this side. Make sure you get all around the jawline. I always say you don't want to see any lines of demarcation, no splotches or seams. So just blend all around the mouth, all around the nose. And I'm avoiding the under eye area. And then we're going to move up to our forehead and deposit just above the eyebrows, over the temple, and then blend up into our hairline. Because you don't want to skip that area. Okay. Make sure it's well blended around the jawline. And well blended over the forehead. And then after we get our foundation on, and we're happy with the amount of coverage that we have and the blending that we've done, then we'll move on to our eye makeup for this step. And this is like a really fun eyeshadow look that we have for the Glossy and Gorgeous. Okay, I feel like it still needs to be more red. I didn't really mix enough of the amber shade. I'm gonna add just a little bit more amber. And then hopefully it'll warm it up just a tad. Like down here. Okay, that's a little bit better. You can see this is like real life, guys. Sometimes you get your foundation on and just not quite what you were after. Like it changes from day to day, honestly. Like I swear when we did the run through, it was working. But that looks better. And then when we bronze and conceal, once we get our full face on, it'll be okay. Okay, so just make sure it's well blended, you're happy with the coverage, and that it looks nice and smooth all over. And that looks good. Lots of sheen and glossiness in that complexion. Okay, so now we'll move on to our eyeshadow, and we're gonna prime our eyelids with the Jouer concealer. Usually I use dark ochre by itself because I want something like nice and bright, but for this look I want something that's a little closer to natural lid shade. So I'm going to mix the amber concealer with the dark ochre. And I'm gonna do that on my palette and just give like 2 rolls of the amber, 1 roll of the dark ochre. I'll show you like how much, like the ratios. That's my concealer. So that's the dark ochre, that's the amber. I'm gonna mix the 2 shades together with my flat concealer brush, number, oh, I don't know, but in the Beautyrx kit, flat concealer. And then I'm gonna deposit that concealer over my entire lid. So deposit right on top of the lash line and then blend up to the brow bone, cover the inner corner to the outer corner. And I want to make sure that there's no line of demarcation between my foundation shade and my concealer. So I just don't want to see where the 2 shades meet. So make sure it's well blended. And I always use a second tool, something that doesn't have a lot of product on it. But the Beauty Blender is good for this step too. And I'm gonna do the same thing on my other eye. And just make sure I cover the entire lid. It's up to your discretion how much coverage you want on this step. Sometimes people want like a little bit of their natural lid shade to show through. So it's up to you. Or if you want like a completely blank canvas. Okay, but that looks good. And you can already see how it's like calming down the brightness of my foundation. Everything's just starting to settle and come together. So that looks good. Okay, and now that we've got our primer on, and it's nice and blended and even and smooth, I wanna set just the brow bone. So typically I set the entire lid, and I'm gonna use the translucent powder in my color correcting. palette and brush number 785 in the Beautyrx set. Nice fluffy blending brush. Just go back and forth between the two shades, tap off all the excess, and then I'm just gonna lightly set right underneath the eyebrow. I'm not gonna set the entire lid for this look. Okay, just a little bit more powder, not much, because I'm not really trying to like add powder. I just want to very lightly dry it off and set it. Okay, now for the eyeshadow. First, we're gonna start by lining our entire eye with the deep burgundy shade in the Stila. This is a holiday set, the 6-piece holiday set. It has like all your staple shades in it. It's the best. So here we go, the deep burgundy out of this kit. And my eyeliner tip is like, don't try to do a straight even line across the lid. I like to angle the pencil into my lashes. I'm gonna lean into the camera. I asked Joe if it was weird, like when we did the practice, but he said it was fine, so I'm gonna do it. But I just want you to see how I'm gonna angle the pencil into my lashes and then press it right up against the lash line. And then I just sweep it back and forth. It's really like an effortless motion. And you see how I'm filling in that lash line really nice and tight. And my eyes start to water as I get toward the middle. So instead of approaching from the top, like I'm doing for the outer corner, I'll approach from the bottom. And for some reason, that just helps me stay calmer. Like I'm still blinking, but they don't water as much. So, and it's just like connect the dashes. But it helps me keep a nice even line and make sure that it's thin on the inner corner, because I don't want it to get thick on the inner corner and I don't want it to get wavy. I don't want it to break. And also I really don't want there to be a gap between my eyelashes and my eyeliner. I want it to be like a nice, tight line. So I'm gonna use my mirror so I can do the other side. Just angle your pencil into your lashes. And you notice, like, I try to keep my eye open just so that I can see what I'm doing, like see exactly where I'm placing the pencil. And I just use one hand. So you're not gonna see me like, pull on my eye to do my liner, you just gentle with your skin. And it's like an easy, effortless motion. So I want to also, for this look, because it's holiday, nighttime, it's a little bit elevated glamour, I want to make sure that I line the bottom waterline. This is the only time you'll see me pull on my skin, if I'm lining waterline. So I'm going to pull it down just so I can cover that inner rim. And this is, once again, with the deep burgundy shade. So get it like nice and smoldery on that bottom lash line. Do the same thing on the other side. And I'm lining the entire lid. Some clients prefer just going like a quarter of the way through or halfway through. It's up to your discretion. But just put a little something on the bottom for that added drama. Okay. So then once you've got your eyeliner on, we're going to use brush number 780 in the Beautyrx kit. It's like a little bullet pencil brush, and just kind of smudge that line. And when you smudge it, it really like brings out the burgundy shade, it diffuses the color a little bit more so you can really see that burgundy. And you don't need precision for this step because we want it to look smudged. Okay. So now we're going to go into our eyeshadow palette, and we're using the Jouer Rose Gold and Shimmer palette. It's one of my favorite palettes. Super pretty. It's like pinky, but still like has these nice, you know, earth tone, like natural neutral shades. But we're gonna start off using this mahogany shade to blend the line. So we're gonna just tap our bullet brush into the mahogany shade, tap off all the excess, and then go right along that lash line to smudge the eyeshadow a little bit, I mean the eyeliner a little bit more. Just to add a little bit more smolder. And you can see it's just like intensifying the line. I'm gonna use the mirror. So this is a mahogany shade. You could use the soft glam palette would be good for this look too. Because it has like a nice dark brown, it has a nice burgundy. So same thing on the other side, just smudge the line out with that mahogany shade. Try to keep most of your like color on the outer corner. Okay, now that looks good. You can see it coming together. Okay, and now we're going to use brush number 777, I believe it is. It's a fluffy blending brush in the Bdellium kit. And we're gonna tap our brush into this orchid shade. It looks really bright, but I want something that's really gonna, I want like a really cranberry holiday holly vibe. So this is gonna help us with that. Just tap into your compact, tap off all the excess, and then we're gonna go right into the crease, just tapping that shade into the crease. And you can see that like, you know, fuchsia warmth coming in, just building it up. And it's up to your discretion. I know I keep saying that, but it's up to you or your client how high up toward the brow bone you want to go. I always recommend leaving a little bit of highlighted space between your eyeshadow and your eyebrow. But the higher you go, the more dramatic and the more impactful. So it's up to you. And then tap right into that crease. And I'm kind of blending across the lid, but I don't want to cover the mahogany shade that I just added. I want really, you know, to the two shades to meet, like to come together, but I don't want to cover one up. So just tap right into that crease, tap across the lid. Make sure that you have equal depth on both sides, equal height and equal depth. And now we're going to use our bullet brush again, number 780, and we're gonna tap into this rosewood shade in our palette. So this is, all of these shades help to build up this like cranberry smoke that I'm going for. So just tap into the rosewood shade, tap off all the excess, and then we're gonna deposit this color right onto the lash line on the outer corner of the eye and blend in like small circular motions up into the crease. I just wanna intensify this outer corner with the rosewood shade. So I'm gonna repeat that step so I can get a little bit more drama. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Deposit on the lash line on the outer corner, small circular motions up into the crease, and then you're just stopping like halfway through. Okay, that looks good. And now we're gonna use brush number 785, just because it's like clean. If you have, you know, you can use any fluffy brush. Like if you didn't use number 777 for for the crease. You can use it for this step. I'm using number 785 because I just used it to set, so it doesn't have a ton of product on it. And I'm going to blend all around the perimeter of the eyeshadow, just to like soften up any harsh lines. And you need to use a clean brush for this step so that you're, not depositing more product. So just soften up any harsh lines with your clean, fluffy blending brush. Do the same thing on the other side. And then I know we've already lined our waterline, but I'm gonna add a little bit more smoke after we conceal. Okay, so that looks great. If I do say so myself. Okay. So now we've got our eyeliner on, we've got our eyeshadow on, we're gonna move up to our eyebrows. My eyebrow routine is pretty simple. The first step for eyebrow makeup is being happy with the shape that you have. So go visit Brit, get your brows like waxed and shaped so that you don't have a lot of supplementation and a lot of work to do with them. And I always recommend keeping them as natural as possible so that brow trends change like drastically every few years. So if you go get like microblading and then the next few years there's like a really thin brow trend, you just don't want to follow trends because then you'll be left behind when the trend changes. Like I know we've all heard people that talk about how they tweezed their brows in the 90s and they wish they hadn't. So, just keep them as natural as possible. The first step for makeup would be to brush through them. Like after you do a full face of makeup, you don't want to just neglect your brows. You have to address them somehow. So we're going to brush through them first. I like to brush them in like an upward direction and brush them thoroughly because you want to get any residual foundation or powder that's landed in them out. So brush them thoroughly. And when you brush them in the upward direction like this, it exposes any little gaps and sparse areas that need supplementation. So we're going to use our Instant, our Brow Gala Instant, because it's just super easy to use. I feel like it's all thanks to all people. Like it's a brow gel, so it has a little bit of control, has microfiber, so it adds a little bit of bulk to the brow, and it's tinted, so it adds definition and color to the brow. It doesn't get like really hard or crispy, so I love the Instant. And it has a tiny little spoolie that's just really easy to use. You can go right into those little sparse areas, fill them in. And then I use the spoolie to brush the top hairs back down into place. And it just gives you like a nice natural looking brow, nothing too severe or too harsh. And this is for my girls with like plenty of eyebrow. If I have someone that doesn't have much eyebrow, I have a completely different routine. But this is for the girls that have just a few sparse areas, or the people that have just a few sparse areas. And I'm going to fill in this inner corner because it's pretty sparse right there. So you see, I'm just going like right into where I have the sparsity, and then brush the hair back down into place. Okay. So I did eyeliner, eyeshadow, everything from lashes up. I'm gonna say mascara and like my finishing eye makeup touches for the end, and lipstick, but we're gonna move on to under eyes right now and conceal. So this is another one of my favorite parts because it makes a huge difference in your whole makeup application. So the reason that we don't put like foundation here initially is because you might have fallout and debris that's landed in this area. If you do and you have to wipe it away, you don't want to wipe away product because it ends up being a waste. So that's why we don't put product there in the beginning. So if you have fallout, then just wipe it away like with your beauty blender or a brush or a little micellar water, whatever you need. And then we're gonna start with our eye cream. So the Beautyrx Gentle Exfoliating Eye Cream is my absolute favorite for before makeup, because you like won't have nearly as much creasing under the eyes if you use it beforehand. Like there's been times when I've forgotten it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's why I forgot the eye cream and it's starting to crease. If that happens, you can tap a little bit on afterwards, but this makes a huge difference when it comes to creasing under the eyes. And then you get the benefit of treating the skin under the eye. So just a little bit, like a small pearl-sized amount, and I'm going to split that between 2 ring fingers and apply to the under eye area, because I just want a little bit. I just want a very little bit and rub it in well. Make sure it's not wet. And then we can start with our color correcting. So this stuff makes a huge difference. If anyone's taken a class with Britt, I'm sure they've heard her shortcut, and it's Christmas because red and green neutralize each other, Lakers because purple and yellow neutralize each other, and Broncos because orange and blue neutralize each other. Those are the colors we use most often in makeup artistry. So I'm going to use the deep orange because the deeper the skin tone, the deeper the color corrector. I'm going to use the deep orange in my Stila color correcting palette and just color correct the inner corners of the eye. So I'm just going to deposit right in the inner corner using my same flat foundation brush. And just apply to the inner corner, and then I'm going to blend down and across, like filling in everything within the orbital bone. Everything in this under eye area. And you can already see how it's just smoothing out the under eye area. Blend back toward the temple over the cheekbone. You want to make sure it's really well blended. And blend in an upward direction for like a lifted application. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Deposit in the inner corner. Blend over that tear trowel, like down and across, filling in everything within the orbital bone, back toward the temple, in an upward direction. Okay, and I want to make sure that that's well blended, so I'm going to get my second tool, my trusty blending brush. And that's just the color corrector by itself. I feel like that looks really good. It makes a huge difference. Now for concealer, I'm going to use the dark ochre by itself this time. The same concealer that I used to prime, the Jouer Ultimate High Coverage. And I'm just going to deposit that onto the highest point of the cheekbone. So right on the outer corner, like much lower and much further out than you might expect, right on top of the cheekbone. Then I do like a little half moon C shaping around the orbital bone. Don't go all the way into the center, like in toward the nose. Just try to keep it on the outer portion of the cheekbone. If you need more concealing, like more coverage, just add more concealer to the highest point of the cheekbone. Like don't put it right directly in the under eye area, because I just feel like that concentrated brightness right under the eyes doesn't look natural. It's just like, what's the point? And this really helps to lift the cheekbone and sculpt the cheekbone. It's one of the reasons I'm using a shade that's so much lighter, but it just adds a lot of dimension into the complexion. So blend that all around. I blend that from the cheekbone into the inner corner, like on top of the color corrector, across the side of the nose, back toward the temple, over the cheekbone, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Into the inner corner, into the under eye area, over the side of the nose, over the cheekbone, and back toward the temple. And for every step, you just want to make sure that there's no seams or splotches or stripes. So just like smooth blending. Okay. And now we're awake. Okay, so now that we're done concealing, I want to set that concealer. I'm setting both of my concealer steps. So I set my brow bone earlier. Usually I set the entire lid, but for this look, I wanted like more shadow, more color payoff for my eyeshadow. So I didn't set the entire lid. And now I'm going to use my angled fluffy brush. The numbers are number 942 in the Bdellium kit. Go back and forth between the two shades, tap off all the excess, and then I'm going to just press the powder right into the under eye area. I'm not sweeping. I'm not doing circular motions. I'm just tapping the powder right onto that concealer. And that's plenty. That's plenty for both under eyes. Okay. So I feel like that looks okay. And now we're going to bronze, and this ought to make a big difference. I'm using the Jouer Bronzer Duo. This is the shade Sun Glow and Sun Gaze. It's the darker duo. And I think I'm going to, I'm going to use the deeper shade, this one here. So I'm just tapping my angled brush into that compact. I'm going to tap off all the excess just for good measure. And then starting back here next to my ear, I always ask my clients to feel back here for their cheekbone. You can feel like a slight protrusion where your cheekbone is, and then there's a slight depression right underneath. So I always say we're going to bronze up right above that depression on the actual cheekbone, directly on the cheekbone. Start from your hairline using light pressure and circular motion, and we're going to bronze out toward the tail of the eyebrow. You can go back and forth, but I like to use the tail of the eyebrow as a guideline. Clients that have like rounder faces can come a little bit further into the center for more definition. So you can use the outer corner of the eye as a guideline, but just make sure you get like nice soft blend directly across the top of the cheekbone. And that way, you know, your application is lifted. We're not like falling, we're lifted. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Tap into my palette, tap off all the excess, starting back here next to the ear, feel for my cheekbone, and bronze in circular motions out toward the tail of the eyebrow. Stopping right there. Okay. And then after we get our cheekbones bronzed and you're happy with, you know, the definition and how much color you have, if you ever feel like it's too harsh or too stripy, grab your trusty blending brush with like some residual product on it, because we've been blending all day, and then soften that bronzer up a little bit. Just tone it down with your blending brush. And we're gonna take our residual bronzer, because I don't know if we need more yet, and go around the entire hairline. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more, tap into my compact, tap off all the excess, and then in circular motion, so I get a nice soft blend, I'm gonna go around my entire hairline. And this helps to like calm down the brightness of my foundation too, just to warm everything up, give it a more natural looking shade. And I want to make sure that I go up into the hairline because I don't want any like paleness poking through. So make sure you get up in there. Okay, and now we're gonna bronze directly underneath the cheekbone. I mean, the jawline. I always call this the cheekbone, but it's the jawline. And we want to go right into this shadow. Careful not to go up onto the side of the jawline. Just emphasize that shadow that's already there. Because, you know, makeup, one color can look flat and one-dimensional. Okay. And you notice I didn't really focus on the middle because I just want to emphasize the jawline. Okay. Okay, and I'm gonna soften up this forehead bronzer a little bit with my blending brush. Okay, that looks good. And now for the blush, and then we're gonna add a little bit more gloss to this effect because remember it is glossy and gorgeous. So we haven't left that concept behind. But I'm just gonna add a little bit of my cream blush for this step. I'm using cream blush because, you know, with the cream formula, you get just more of like a moisturized look, not so dry. And it's also just super user friendly. I love, love, love the Bare All, the PYT Strike Twice in Bare All. I think that any of those PYT colors would make nice like cream blush shades. But the Bare All is a good like neutral, versatile, just like perfect light pink for pretty much anyone. Um, you could use Go Icon if like the Bare All sold out. Maybe there's another one that I would recommend. I can't remember. Um, but anyway, take a look at the PYT Strike Twice lip duos because they're great. And I'm going to make a guideline with 2 fingers. Keep 2 fingers with distance between your mouth and nose and your cheek makeup. Because you don't want redness or pinkness from your blush in this area next to the mouth or next to the nose. So I say use the guideline of 2 fingers, and then we're going to deposit our cream blush right on the front of the cheekbone next to the fingernail. So just swipe it on right there. And then I use my ring finger and middle finger because I want to use 2 fingers for more to cover more surface area, just to blend all around. And you know, I always say that blush is a super polarizing cosmetic because people either love it or hate it. But if you've done a full face of makeup, you know, it helps to build dimension and bring life back into the complexion. So just be careful not to get too close to the nose, not to get blush in the under eye area, and you don't want to fall too far below the cheekbone. So if you use that like, you know, finite amount of space that you have for your blush, I think that it should work out just fine. So that's like a nice, very natural pink shade. I didn't want it too red or too like brown. So this is good, especially for the glossy and gorgeous. And now I'm going to add the Bodyography glitter in the shade Stratus. And Stratus, it looks like it's going to be very like silvery and pink when you look at it in the pot, but once you put it on the skin, it just like turns into the prettiest, you know, like purpley, I don't know, nude shimmer. And I'm just going to press into the pot. It's got a really nice, like almost creamy, bouncy texture. So I'm going to just tap a little bit of it onto the highest point of my cheekbone. You can see it's already like grabbing tons of light. So I'm just gonna go right there and rub that Stratus shade right into my cheekbone. And it's not chalky, it's not like frosted looking at all. That's why I love it so much. Just like the perfect flesh tone glow. And the texture makes it really easy to rub in. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I didn't have nails when I first did the run through. So now I kind of have to scoop it out, but still it's got such a nice creamy texture. It's working out just fine. So I'm smearing it on the highest point of the cheekbone. And as you can see, it's adding such a like glossy glass skin effect. So I'm just gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep the Stratus glitter on the cheekbones. And like I call it glitter, but it's just, it's not like glittery. It's like a lovely sheen. I love it. So that looks great. Okay, and now we're gonna use my other favorite glowy glossy tool, and that's the RMS Luminizer X Quad. I used to go through these like wildfire on the Emily ever in the salon. This particular shade, I think it's called Champagne Rosé. It's hard to tell, but this lower, it's on the lower half of the quad, and it's like a very neutral. It's kind of similar to the glow cream because it's got that iridescence, a slight lavender tinge. So I'm gonna just use my middle finger and tap that on top of the shimmer for extra sheen. Just tap it on and then rub it in. And I'm keeping that like on the highest point of the cheekbone up toward the temple. And this, it's like just super natural looking. Okay, so you see how I add a little, just a little bit more gloss and sheen with the RMS quad. Kind of like layering the gloss on top of the Bodyography glitter. And you can tap a little bit of this onto the tip of the nose. You can tap a little bit onto the middle of the forehead, all the areas that are naturally grabbing the light. Okay. So now we've added our gloss to our face. So you see, I wanted to build like that glossy dimension into every level. So we started with the Embryolisse, then we did the glow cream, and then we did our coverage. And the Becca 24 hour is like typically very matte, like if you want a matte complexion. So that's why I had to build so much glow in with my priming and with like the glitter and the Luminizer X Quad. Okay. So now we've done that, we're going to add a little bit of smolder to the bottom lash line. Remember I said we were gonna wait until we conceal. So I'm gonna use that same brush, number 780. And I'm gonna get the mahogany shade. You can do mahogany or rosewood. I just want something that's darker. I'm gonna give like a nice smolder. So I'm gonna use mahogany. Tap off all the excess because I don't want any fallout. And then just smear that brush right through the bottom lash line. You can see, because you don't want it to look like naked if you forget. So smear it right through. You don't need precision for this step. And then we're going to our gloss to our eye. So I have the Nude Envy gloss. We're gonna gloss our eye just for a little bit more like avant-garde, like something a little bit more elevated for the holiday. Like obviously you could do this whole look, you know, by itself without the gloss, but if you add the gloss, you'll just see it just punches up the glamour a little bit more. You'll just like get so many compliments all night. So I'm using the Nude Envy gloss in Illuminate, and I chose this one because it doesn't have any pearlescence or shimmer to it. It's just like a crystal clear, wet looking gloss. And I'm gonna get like, I'll say 2 rolls of this onto the back of my hand. Just like a small amount, not too much. You can see. If I need more, I'll add more. And I'm going to use my flat concealer brush that I've been using all hour. I think it's number, I don't know. And I'm going to just smear that. Actually, I'm gonna switch brushes. I'm gonna use this brush here. It's another concealer brush, but it has pink bristles with white tips. Also in the Bedellium kit, I don't know what number. So I'm gonna use that instead. And then just smear that gloss right across the lid. And I'm not gonna go all the way up to the eyebrow. I just wanna keep it focused on the lid. Careful not to go underneath because we want it to look like very purposeful. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the other eye. I need a little bit more gloss. Grab myself 2 rolls or 3 rolls. And then just smear the gloss right over the lid. And I'm staying like right on top of the shadow. You could go up to the brow with this, like cover the brow bone. It's up to your discretion. I just want to keep it like not too far beyond the crease. If you have it in the crease, it really, it catches the light, so it's good. But I don't want to go too high, but you can. And now that we've got our gloss on our eye, I'm going to add a little bit of mascara. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Lash Brag. And I'm going to use a disposable wand and get some product on my spoolie. And then I'm going to start by, wherever you start your mascara application is where you're going to have the most length, or wherever you focus your application. I want, my length to be in the middle. I don't necessarily want a cat eye for this look. Either way, whatever you decide, just make sure you start at the bottom, at the base of the lashes. And I like to give a little spoolie a little wiggle. I like to give my spoolie a little wiggle as I move up through the lashes. I feel like that helps coat the lashes more thoroughly. Oh, and I got a little mascara. Okay. Okay. And then once you get your mascara on, if you want to do bottom mascara, my only advice for bottom mascara is to hold the spoolie vertically. Thank you so much, Britt. Hold the spoolie vertically, like don't try to apply like you would at the top. We're gonna just sweep the mascara wand through the bottom lashes very like lightly and gently, because you don't need tons of product on the bottom lashes. You just want to like enhance them. You don't want to spiderize them. So just sweep over. I do too, Sunita. All the colors are so pretty. Okay. So this is like super festive look that we have here. I'm going to use my concealer brush just to clean up under my eye a tad, under my left eye. Just to soften that up just a little bit. That's better. Okay. And now lips are the last step for this look. I'm gonna use the Jouer Espresso lip liner to line my lips. My only advice for lip liner is don't apply with the pencil directly down like you're writing. You want to apply with it flat against the surface of the skin so you get a nice blendable and diffused line. So we're going to line the entire lip just within that highlighted ridge. For people that want more volume, like, you know, bigger lips basically, you can line right on top of the highlighted ridge. It's very subtle, but it makes a huge difference. So I'm gonna line all around, and then I wanna blend the liner. Okay, well, that looks nice. I wanna blend the liner just by pressing my lips together. But it makes it so much easier to blend if you apply flat like that. You won't get a harsh stripe. Okay, and now I'm gonna use another Nude Envy gloss, my second Nude Envy gloss of the hour. And it is the Fearless shade because it's a lovely, like, mauvey nude color. It's nice for all skin tones, but it's a nice nude for brown skin. So I'm gonna apply it just all over the lips, like no, you know, precision really. Like I'm not trying to necessarily apply within the liner. I want to apply on top of it. Okay. And there you have it. That's your glossy and gorgeous makeup application. We're done, kids.
Sarah, I think this looks so gorgeous. I mean, we did our own rehearsal in the back end, and it's just as stunning. I think it's so glossy, and that's like the nice thing about Zoom too. Sometimes we can't always enjoy the artwork up close and personal, but this is HD
Yeah.
quality makeup for New Year's. So
Thank you.
I hope
I'm so
everybody
happy.
gives this a try. Thank you, Sophia. I hope everybody gives this
Thank you,
a try.
Sophia.
We did get a couple of questions DM'd. The
Okay, great.
one was in regards to eyeshadow. They said that they put the darkest shade on first and then the lighter ones. Is that right, or should I do it the other way around? Thank you.
Yeah, so that's what I did for this look. So what I did, it was kind of like a weird order. Like usually I do liner last, but I did liner first for this look to make sure we get a nice, you know, smoldery. I just want it nice and intense. Like, so I didn't want the shadow to interfere with the liner. Wanted to get the liner on there first. And then I did use the darkest shade to smudge the liner. And then I applied the brightest shade to the crease. And then I applied a second darkest shade. So I'll just show you quickly in the palette. I smudged the liner with this shade. I used this shade in the crease, and then I used this shade on the outer corner. Thank you. And then I saw Sunita just asked about the Bodyography glitter, and I used Stratus, the Stratus shade. And that's what I was saying. Like, it looks like it's going to be so silvery and like frosty in the pot, but it's not. Like, it looks really nice. Yes, yes, you do, Sunita.
Yeah. The Bodyography glitter pigments are fun because I think the textures, they're just so smooth that it blends out really nicely. So you can't.
Yeah, they're so easy to use, super creamy.
Some people will pack it on and just leave it there if they want like a very like quote unquote abrasive look.
Uh-huh.
You can blend it out. The
For
other
something a little softer.
Yeah. The other
Yeah.
question I got, and it was actually related to glitter, was would you put glitter over the gloss or does that make it chunky?
I would try it. I would try. I was thinking about that before the class. So I, you know, just because like in when I went over the look, I did the glitter first and then added the gloss on top. I would try adding the glitter on top of the gloss. Just give it a try and see what happens. It's the only thing you can do.
Britt says, yes, you can. I've done it. See, it's always fun to experiment with makeup.
Yes, thank you, Britt.
That was all the questions that we had for this evening. So, if there are any more, everybody, please feel free to leave them in the chat. But we have dropped the discount code for everybody to save big this holiday season with Sarah. Thank you, Sunita. You can use the code Sarah30 on Blushington.com. You'll get 30% off of every single product that Sarah used. We also dropped the link to every single product as well as the full shopping cart. So you don't have to go searching for the shades and for the brands. You can just get it all right then and there. Thank you, Sophia. Happy New Year and happy
Thank you,
2022.
Sophia and Sunita. Thank you so much. I had so much fun. I'm so happy that everyone could make it.
Absolutely. And we do send out a post-class email. It will be coming into your mailboxes within the next 24 hours. So if you know of anybody who was maybe celebrating New Year's a little bit early, maybe they're already out, maybe they're already having a good time, feel free to circulate that video with them. They can also save big this holiday season. But in terms of my end, Sarah, I can't thank you enough for participating with Blushington for your very first masterclass. And it only feels right that we get to end out the year with a big bang. And I think this look is
Yes,
absolutely
thank you
gorgeous.
so much. Thank you.
An incredible educator. And since our time in the West Hollywood store, I mean, it's been absolutely amazing. So thank you again so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunita. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining. Good night.
Hope everybody enjoys. Feel free to follow us at Blushington on Instagram, and you can follow Sarah on Instagram at FaceTime Sarah as well. So I think that's it. We don't see any more questions. So have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Britt. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
We'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye and Happy New Year.
Bye.
In just 25 hours at the Blushington Academy, you'll be ready to increase your earning potential and become your own beauty boss. Blushington Academy is valuable to self-taught makeup artists and for those that went to school and graduated. Blushington is an incredible place to advance your career.
The Blushington Academy is giving you all the industry secrets, tips, tricks that they know, and they are giving that to you in that 25-hour course. That's priceless.
What surprised me as a new makeup artist was all of the work that went on behind the scenes. The skills I learned at Blushington Academy would have come in handy 10 years ago when I first started my career.
Along with the Blushington Academy, you get your own Blushington kit. The kit is curated by their artists, so you get this amazing kit that you are gonna use on every single client. Realistically, what you pay for the course, you're getting in the kit.
When I first saw the kit, I was like, wow.
It's rare to find a makeup academy that provides such luxurious products.
So to turn up our look, let's grab our eyeshadow palettes and look at the color choices that we have. I love this palette. The colors are so vibrant and so beautiful.
You are so overwhelmed with where do I start? Where do I begin? How do I get my name out there? Blushington is behind you and they are gonna help you do that. You are a featured certified artist on their website. So if you're in Kansas City, Missouri, people can book you, brides can book you. Having a huge company like Blushington behind you, that is something that when you go to another school, you don't get.
Having a shop-in-shop at Blushington is going to be such a game changer. I'm always recommending wonderful products to my clients, and it's going to be so nice to be able to help them purchase products that I stand behind, and it's going to be nice for me because I'll be able to make a little extra income.
You educate your clients, you use the products on them, and they have an option to buy directly from you, from Blushington, so that way that's commission in your pocket. Why did no one else think of this? It's amazing.
Loneliness of the career can really get to you because you're essentially an entrepreneur building a one-person business. But with Blushington, I could create community and rely on them for encouragement and for business matters. I honestly feel that this course is an amazing value.
You'll have a lifetime access to a new group of makeup artists, so you'll always have someone in your corner supporting you and there to answer any questions that you may come across in your career. There are so many things that we have to learn the hard way, especially as freelance artists. Blushington Academy takes away some of the pains of growing.
If you are just starting or if you've been doing it for years like I have, you can never stop learning. If you are getting ready to sign up for the Academy, just know it is just the beginning of your career.